This is what capitalism. This is his choice. Either he's an immigrant, or he doesn't make money, or both, or he doesn't have it. This is what he wants to do.
But he has a choice of riding in it.
I know, but the fellow that is paying him would not take it. Remember, he is doing a service. He's being paid for the. Good morning,
Good morning.
So you started with Rabbi Skaba already?
Not yet. No. Been zooming in with Rabbi Maselton in his class earlier.
You are continuing this summer in Moed Katan?
No. With Rabbi Skava Ketuvot. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Yeah.
Open a second Megillat Bud.
Rabbi Maselton's coming to Deal to give a class during the week.
Very nice. During the summer, yeah.
Yeah, he's staying in Lakewood for the summer.
Okay, much closer to Florida. Last year he was in Florida.
No, he was. What was he? Last year?
Florida. He and his family took a house. Few families took in Florida. Huh?
Yeah. Oh, wait. Okay.
Please take the Chumash. Open on page 1269. So the story of Megillat Ruth is basically a noble family, Elimelech and Naomi. Elimelech has three brothers. One is the father of Boaz, one is the father of Naomi, and one is the Ploni Almoni. He's a wealthy man, he's a leader, but in time of distress, he chose to do what many people do, to run away to save his money. One of the lessons that we forget after we read five Pesukim is, by the end is none of his money is left. He's dead, his money is gone, and his two kids are gone. But of course, this is part of the big picture, so we're not paying attention to what happened to him. Let's see what happens. We mentioned it last night. Look a second at Psukim. So this is in 1269. Vayamet Elimelech ish Naomi is the first one to die because he's really the one to be blamed. Yeah? She stays in Shnei Banea. Interestingly enough, look at Pasuk Dalet. Vayisu lahem nashim Moaviyot. The Pasuk clearly says that the wives were from Moab. Rabbi Kanievsky in his book points out that the Pasuk is emphasizing after the father is dead, they married the Moabiyot. While he's alive, they have no guts to do it. And what is Vayisu lahem nashim? What is Vayisu lahem? Vayisu nashim. Says Rabbi Kanievsky, they didn't consult the mother what to do. They are single boys from a big lineage, and they look at themselves as noble people. They marry two beautiful Moaviyot, Lahem, without a mother. Princess. Look a second at the Pesukim continue. Shema Achat Orpah. Orpah is the married Kilion. Shema Shenit Ruth is married to Machlon. וישבו שם כ10 שנים, 10 years. Chaim Kanievsky in his book claims that she would have gone back to Israel right after her husband had died. But when she realized that they are dating these two women, Ruth and Orpah, she decided to stay there because they didn't want their children to go too far. She didn't know which directions they are going. So look at Pasuk Vav.
Machlon was older than Kilyon. He's mentioned before.
Chaim Kanievsky is medayek very strong. He says the youngest one married Orpah first.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask.
Machlon-
Because it said,
But Kanievsky openly said it. He followed his brother. But you see at the end of the Megillah that she, Ruth, is married to Machlon, Orpah is married to Kilyon.
Right.
Still the Pasuk says,
talks about Orpah first.
yep,
Does everybody hold that Ruth and Orpah are sisters?
Lav Davka, but they're from the same family, more or less.
But if the point only being that if they weren't sisters, and I saw somewhere that they would be chayav boom on both of them when one of them died, and then ended up that actually Ruth married two husbands, both passed away. That was even before Moab. I mean, before Moab. I meant before.
Sisters.
We'll see in a minute.
Brothers marrying sisters, how's that work, Eli?
No, if they weren't sisters.
Okay.
Anyway, no, she realizes that they are following her. So obviously, the house of Elimelech and Naomi was such a special house that after being there 10 years, instead of logically, remember, an immigrant, he doesn't have the language, doesn't have the religion, he never go to a new place. The normal idea is to go back. Now, when she's pushing them to go back home, how can she do it? If they were real converts, she should tell them go back home. Hinei shava yevimtech el ama ve'el Elohea. Look a second in Pasuk Tetvav. After
You mean
all,
if they really converted and then they're full-fledged
No,
Jews,
but
how
Rabbi-
can they can't relinquish their
Rabbi
Judaism
Kanievsky is using this as a proof to
that they
the
converted?
opinion in the Midrash that they did not completely
Oh, they
convert.
didn't convert, right.
See the way he says it is like this.
So how does, if that's the case, then why were even any of Boaz or Honi Ammoni even obligated to
Right,
to do something?
can't have it both ways, Rabbi. Yeah, they converted, yeah.
I
they
gave
didn't
this
convert.
introduction to
converted
way
later
to
on.
your questions. Now, after you asked it, everyone put it on his chest. Let's see what the Kanievsky say. Yes.
Okay.
Otherwise, it doesn't work, Sam.
Before his
תשמע,
first Sunday, here's
הוא אומר,
how it
הוא-
goes.
הוא אומר
Yeah,
דבר
right.
יפה, תשמע טוב, הוא אומר דבר יפה מאוד באמת. I mean, you realize that everyone thinks about it. כל אחד, anyone his own way is putting his own, in Yiddish you say everyone is putting his own kvetch.
Right.
Last time I heard that word was Mrs. Goodhart, fifth grade.
He says something very
Remember that?
nice.
Such a
He
French-
says like this, for a Jewish man to live with a non-Jewish woman, this was a gzeira much later. So now they have a choice. They are alone in a foreign country, either to live with a goyot, but it's not nice, the goyot. Now to convert them to Shema Tov Shem is a word yafe. But they didn't know for sure if the halacha is Ammoni or Ammonit or not. They didn't know. You remember we spoke yesterday, this was halacha of Moshe Sinai. People thought maybe yes, the same argument we saw between Avner and Doeg. So what they are doing now is they are marrying them on the conditions of what they are saying here. They are converting them if we are permitted to marry you as a Jewish woman, then it's 100% marriage. If we are not permitted, because the halacha that even a female from Ammon or Moab cannot marry a man, right? We are staying with you as a goyot. So it comes out beautifully, which means there was a conversion under condition. If we are permitted to marry you legally, why? Because
Marriage under condition.
marriage, no,
Not conversion.
wait. Purpose of conversion is to marry.
Well,
Okay,
the convert has to be, there's no, if I like you, Hashem, there's no such thing. The marriage on condition. But you can't go to the
right, so
conversion.
if you want, we don't have time, but we look at the Rambam Perek Yudal, 90% of all the Giyurim in the Rabbanut of those in Israel today, they're still שומרי שבת. I mean, 90% of דברים בטלים because they eat treif the same day they convert.
The Jews.
Even the Jews. Today we have the leniency, otherwise they would be Jewish, yes, we marry them. Here, what they're saying is, it's okay to marry for marriage, but if you are convinced that Judaism is the right religion. See, if you marry because you're attracted to the looks of the man, you're not really converting. You're marrying a man. Okay, the only way is to buy a black suit. They buy a black suit if they're head. So they are marrying them because we remember we means the two men have to be married. They're alone in the world. Now, when they die, she, Ruth, now wants to challenge the decision to convert. Was it only because of my sons? Which means your conversion was klum.
In Naomi's challenge.
What the effect? So when she is telling them, so the minute Orpah decides to go back to her nation, התברר למפרד it should never convert. So what the effect?
Nice.
And Ruth, who decided to stay, her conversion.
This is the point.
Yeah, but what you said in the beginning was a little different. The conversion, the Tanai they made was if we could convert the Ammoni or Moabit. This is a different Tanai now. That's what Sammy said before. There's two separate
They are already in a wood box in the ground. Now she's going back to Israel. She doesn't want to go with any of them. She is now she's testing them before
Testing the conversion.
What's the motivation of the women?
What
What was
This
their
is
motivation?
exactly.
What was the covenant?
Obviously, her sons were living. It says 10 years. They lived together 10 years. והיו שם כ10 שנים.
No, and then they got married.
זה לא ברור, זה לא בפסוק, זה לא בסקל, זה לא ברור בפסוק. Look a second. ויישאו להם נשים וישבו שם, I mean, you realize they lived 10 years together. So now, תשמע, זה מאוד מאוד מעניין. So this is why she's telling to, this is why she's telling,
Guys, I can't hear the rabbi. I can't hear the rabbi.
It was gone right away. It's clear. There's no doubt about that. Now,
They probably weren't married 10 years. Because
Why is it?
she didn't have a baby for 10 years.
So what?
for
Then with Boaz, she had a baby the first time.
around.
Why not?
אנחנו לא יודעים באמת, סמי, לא גם,
Anything's possible.
Maybe he was the Akara.
Sammy is
Both of them.
Maybe both brothers, yeah.
You let the rabbi talk.
Maybe they married the third year or fifth year. It's not clear.
Ike and Sammy, Ike.
Sammy, let the rabbi talk.
I did.
I can behave yourself.
I give classes all the time. I want you to come to my class.
Shh.
Anyway, listen carefully. Remember, every time you read the story we know, but the trick is always to see in between the lines. Different picture. Look a second. She is talking to them logic. ותאמר לה, okay? You look at Pasuk Yud. ותאמרנה לה כי איתך נשוב לעמך. Which means even Orpah, in the beginning, no, which means that the impact that they got was so strong that you are immigrants, you are beautiful. The language, the religion is not yours, they're coming. ותאמר נעמי, שוב לה בנותיי, למה תלכנה עמי? העוד לי בנים במאי, והיו לכם אנשים, do you expect me to have children? But since some of you are learning Eli, learning יבמות, זה בעברית קוראים שטויות בריבוע, yes? Why? Because even if she's going to have children, Eli, can they be meyabem them? The answer is of course not. Why?
Because it happened after.
This is, Giorgio says, because it's, she was.
You have to be alive.
Alive. Another reason. Only if they're brothers from a father, not from a mother. And the Melech is dead now.
That's right.
And everyone really is asking, why is Rashi emphasizing what Giorgio said? There are two reasons. If she becomes pregnant and she has children, they were born after.
And they're not the same father.
Boom is only from the
Boom
father.
is בטח כי ישבו אחים יחדיו. The Gemara says achim is achim, the same as Yerusha. Achim means from the father, not from the mother. Anyway, she is convincing them, go back.
Yep.
No, but this is there are two reasons. Okay, so look a second in Pasuk
So
Yudal.
Rashi rejects the second.
No, no, no. כולם שואלים, למה רש"י הביא? Because he was not, they were born after the death of my
It
son.
looks like Ruth thinks they're the only Goalim.
No, so
She
they-
knows there's Boaz, she knows.
The real answer, we look in the Ramban, but there's no time in Parashat Vayeshev. ותבכנה כולנה ותבכנה עוד, ותשק עורפה לחמותה, ורות דווקא בה. So Chazal, there's a very famous Chazal. Let's look at the big picture 100 years later. 100 years later, Orpah goes back. She becomes the mother of Goliath. Ruth stays. Ruth has a grandson, David. The two later have a match. יבואו בני הנשוקה וילחמו בני התפוקה. Beautiful sentence. Orpah says, logically, you're right. I'm going back, fine. So now she's trying again. She's, according to Chaim Kanievsky, she's trying to test the seriousness of the conversion of Ruth. ותאמר רות אל תפגעי בי לעוזבך לשוב מאחריי, don't even try to push me back. So this is one of the strongest statements of commitment, yes? Wherever you go, I'm following you, but of course the Gemara in Yevamot tells that she's teaching her certain difficult halachot that from an outsider, look at Pasuk Yudchet. ותרא כי מתאמצת היא ללכת. Yes? ללכת איתה ותחדל לדבר איתה. You see, Rani, look at the English translation, yes? When she saw
she was determined to go with her, she stopped arguing with her.
Right. המילה מתאמצת is an interesting word, determined. Listen how the Graf Vilna learns here. We learned around Lag BaOmer, the Gemara says that Rish Lakish was a very strong man. He was the head of a mafia group. Rabbi Yochanan was the best looking man in the world. Rabbi Yochanan is swimming in the water. Rish Lakish thought he's a lady. He jumped across the riverbank. Rabbi Yochanan says to him, Chaylach leoraita, you're so strong, why don't you use it for Torah? The Safot say that Rish Lakish was learning once, became not religious. He says back, listen good, he says back to him, you're such a beautiful man, many women would go after you. Rabbi Yochanan sensed that his Achilles heel is a woman. He says to him, I have a sister, it's nice of you. If you promise me to come back, I'll give you my sister. But you realize he spoke to him in his language. He understood that he wants woman. Rish Lakish says, promise. The Mara says, Rish Lakish now wants to jump back. Cannot. Why? Which means the commitment
weigh them down
without doing
Even
anything.
before the action.
The commitment is already so much part of him. Says the Graf Vilna, there is approximately 40 years difference between the two. Up till now, Ruth is a young woman. Now she saw that it's more difficult for her to go. She realized that she sees.
But Rish Lakish, in his mind, he wanted to have the woman. He had no idea what he was going to do.
Right.
So he didn't have any like
So is
Teshuvah or something.
So is every one of us. Me, you, all the great rabbis, when they started to learn, they learned. Ovadia Yosef learned because he wanted to be Ovadia Yosef. Everyone has a stage in his life. The motivation to learn is either money or kavod or both, or to please my parents, or to find a wife, or to get a job. What is that?
But why did he lose his strength?
What?
Why did he lose his
Because
strength?
his commitment to come back to Judaism was so
He wanted to get the woman, not to come to the religion.
This was the insanity. The commitment.
inside he was
Still made a
legit about it.
commitment.
That's what he's trying to say.
Joseph, every few years, I'm not doing it because no one is serious, but years ago, when people were most serious about becoming professionals, how many of you want to be doctors? I mean, that's it. For the class of 28, you're foul. It says if your grandfather gives you now $100 million, would you still go to medical school? Right away, are you crazy? Why should I go?
So they're not going to be doctors, they
What
want to
did
do
they
it for the
say?
money.
You, when you go to a doctor, buy him a $1,000 bill, right? So he's not a good doctor, he's a good doctor. Even though his incentive to become a doctor was not exactly to be a contributor to humanity, understand? Here, by Rish Lakish, of course, this was the reason. But he was a strong man, he became Rish Lakish. ותראה כי מתאמצת היא ללכת, when she realized that she's unable to continue with so much stamina, ותחדל לדבר אליה. Please listen carefully now. ותלכנה שתיהם עד בואנה בית לחם. Think for a minute, ותלכנה שתיהם, they are both walking together. We understand that Naomi is going back to her homeland. The Pasuk is emphasizing that Ruth is exactly the same. You have to hear between the lines. Listen a minute. ותהום כל העיר עליהם ותאמרנה זאת נעמי. Last night we mentioned, everyone knows this part, but there are two pshatim. How come this is before social media? The entire city זאת נעמי. So one interpretation is this is what the harvesting the seurim from Minchat Haon. Look what the pasuk says. Look at pasuk Chavbet. ותשב נעמי ורות ביה כלתה, ואימה באו בית לחם בתחילת קציר חיטים. Which means everyone, the Gemara says in Menachot, that everyone in town used to come to see. So everyone in town is outside. They notice the old lady, Azot Naomi, where are the jewelry, where is the chariots? The other pshat, of course, is that this was the funeral of the wife of Boaz, and everyone is there. But you see the beauty part that we look a second, Pasuk Chav. ותאמר עליהם, she is telling them, אל תקראנה לי נעמי, קראנה לי מרה. Mara means bitter. If you know Chumash, in Hebrew, Mara is mem reishim. מה זה mem reishim? אין דבר כזה. So רבינו בכייה, פרשת בעלותך says, every time the hay changes to Aleph, over there is also Mara, means it's the extreme of bitterness, which means the woman is saying, I'm fully responsible for what happened to me. Yes? אני מלאה עליו כי הימר שדי למרוד. I understand that God did what he did to our family.
So she took responsibility, basically, even though Elimelech forced her, she's taking full responsibility.
Remember, it's always, I'm saying it, it's always good to be a Monday morning quarterback and say, but she's saying, yes, perhaps I would have been most stronger.
She would have fought a little harder.
Everyone knows. It takes.
But in those days, the man made all the decisions, so I don't know how much
she paid. She paid a very heavy price.
She could have pushed after her husband died to go back, Jimmy.
No. So, but then the reason over there was because she saw that her sons are dating Nashim or Aviyot. She wanted to be with the children.
All the more reason.
No, but the kids would definitely not come back. Look a second now, guys.
You're saying she should have left before they met the girls. I think that's what you're saying. In other words, Kish, don't even give them a chance.
Look now in Pasuk 22. Look now in Pasuk 22. You'll hear something new, but this is, remember, the trick in Megillat Ruth is, besides the Pshat, which is fascinating by itself, if you look at it from a historical point of view, and you see on the big picture, look at Pasuk Chavbet. You tell me what's strange in the Pasuk. Hilary, do it. Explain in language.
It looks like the Pasuk is coming only from the last part. ותשב נעמי,
we know that. ורות המואביה כלתה. This is a repetitive.
We know that.
מה פירוש המילה? Ruth is coming back? She is coming for the first time in her life. How can the Pasuk say here, ותשב נעמי, Naomi is coming back? Of course. She left Bethlehem, she's coming back. Ruth is the first time in her life.
Should be Im Ruth.
Im Ruth.
No, but it says it after, guys. Beruta Moria Kalata Ima. That's like saying it before.
Anyway, the commentators say, you, Ruth, you are a descendant of Lot. Lot departed from Abraham, you are coming back home. This is if you look at it in history. She's coming back home.
You know, I heard a class you're saying about that. It said when Lot, when he chased after Yaakov, right, those 3 days, said
Lavan.
Lavan. So he said he had one neshama in him. That's why Borei Olam made him chase him. And the only 2 words in the whole Torah that are Aramaic are those 2 words there. And that was Ruth. That was the neshama.
Ruth is coming back home, even though it's the first time. But the roots.
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
No, listen to Tishma Dabar Pele. I forgot which year, maybe the 20s or the 30s. A fellow came to the chief rabbi of Petach Tikva, and he says the only way he can stay in Palestine is if a rabbi says that he is from Palestine. The rabbi says from Russia.
Yeah.
He says, anyway, then he wrote to him, and people said to the rabbi, but it says he is a Jew. Every Jew is roots are in his original. He used it. Root in her life never stepped into Bethlehem, and the pasuk says she's coming home. She is coming home. Joseph, I see on your eyes that you're unhappy. Yeah.
He's a convert, he's Moabiyat.
No, but again, she's coming from Lot, and Lot moves together with Abraham. Lech lecha me'aretzecha, and they're going to Israel. Then Lot is departing; he's going away. She is coming back to her roots. She's a descendant. She's a descendant of Lot.
Yeah.
You know, the Arizal brings down that every ger was the neshama was originally a Jew at Har Sinai. They got lost over the years.
Well, in Naomi, look further, Perek Bet. Perek Bet begins that Naomi, with Naomi Moda, she has a relative. It is very funny because this relative happens to be a first cousin. Because Naomi's father and Boaz's father are brothers. Salmon, her father was the 4th. Leisha, Ish Gibor Chayil, I mean, the Pasuk introduces him right away.
That's a key factor.
Don't you think that if you are an immigrant and your cousin is poor and you're coming into town, you should knock on the door, dear uncle, dear cousin.
In town, need your help.
You have nothing. And look at the next pasuk. The pasuk is emphasizing even though Boaz is a Gibor Chayil, even though Boaz is a rich man, Vatomer Ruta Moabiyah Noami Elchana Asadeh V'Alakta. The pasuk is saying, even though we have a relative, this is shedding light on the personalities of the two ladies. Yes, Ruth is not saying to her, you have a cousin. When you realize here is an immigrant, beautiful, going to be a collector. She's a collector. Let's knock on the door.
Go to the rich uncle.
This is question 1. The answer is it shows that they had so much dignity they refused.
I think the bigger question is why he didn't go for help. That's a bigger question. You understand they're embarrassed.
The second half of the question is, second half is this question.
Bigger part.
Didn't recognize him.
Everybody
No,
knows.
everyone said Hazot Naomi. They said
My dear friend, listen.
Talking about Boaz, you know,
Listen carefully. If you take, remember, it's 2 opinions. If you take the opinion that when they marched into town, he lost his mind.
Right.
For 7 days he's up there.
I was thinking
By the 7th day,
calm down already.
he's already going to his field and he met them there. Which means perhaps he was planning to do it.
I was busy.
He was sitting in Shiva, yes. Just again, look. Ruth volunteers. Elchana Asadeh V'Alakta B'Shibolim.
He's in the middle of a mitzvah.
He's sitting in Shiva.
Right.
I thought he was burying her when they first saw
Yeah, and then he has to sit 7 days.
After,
You're right.
after the burial, you sit 7 days, and after the 7 days, you go back to his farm. And this is where he met her. Look a second now, please listen carefully. how you can take a pasuk and look the two sides of the pasuk. Vatelech vatavo. Do you understand? What is vatelech vatavo? Read the English translation.
So she went,
And she came.
she
Oh,
came,
she went and she came.
in the period.
She went.
She went.
Okay, so
period.
Rashi
It's like two
says,
sentences.
Rashi says the pshat, the pasuk is hinting us how her wisdom. She's a foreigner, and you're going into huge farms. How would she ever find her way back? But tell her, first she went and she signs on the road. I'm coming in. After she has signs, now she's collecting. She knows this is pshat. The Gra, listen to the Gra. Gra Vilna says, listen carefully. The mentality of the most people is if you see something good, you're jumping on it. Now listen carefully. If I'm a poor man, I'm entering into a farm. The farm is 1 mile. So I'm collecting right away. I have to carry it to 1 mile, then I have to carry it back. Vatelech, she went back to the end, and she's collecting on the way back to save
Energy.
כך אומר הגר"א וילנה, ותלך ותבוא. First she went in, and she's collecting on it, which means not only she's wise, she is not in a hurry. Remember, mentality of a man that doesn't have anything is to grab everything you can. She's not grabbing anything, she's going, she's calculating.
Well, she wasn't always an Ani, she was a princess, so they have a different mindset.
One of the beautiful parts of this story is that the princess becomes poor, shows the real personality.
Right.
When I had money, I had money.
Right.
Now I don't have money, I have to adapt
But she used
myself.
both, so to speak.
This is
she used her.
This is the beauty, but it's a pursuit.
One might think along the way, she would say, let me take it now because somebody else is gonna take it. But she had the confidence that she was gonna get it on the way back. I mean, you.
So that means
You're
you're saying-
desperate.
You
You
said
see
when
all the
she
stuff on the
walked-
road, I'll get it on
when
the way
she
back.
walked to the end, she walked by the food. In other
Yes,
words,
it is.
She knew already.
She passed it up.
She knew
So
already,
if
but
a person's desperate, he's only getting now because
Correct,
we'll be here when I come back.
but-
And we're in.
but if you are a low class person,
Yeah.
but maybe till I come back, another poor
Yeah,
man will grab
yeah,
it.
that's the same.
I'm doing what I'm doing. She's
I have to go through the
what the
motions.
fuck? No, but it shows, תשמע. ויקר מקרא, as it happened, of course the Megillah is writing it this way, חלקת השדה לבועז אשר משפחת אלימלך. She happens to find,
She didn't know this, Yani?
She did. there are no signs, אלימלך, בועז. תקשיב טוב. היא אומר, והנה בועז בא מבית לחם. The Shiva is over, and he's going now to visit his business. He couldn't come for 7 days. ויאמר לקוצרים השם עמכם. Don't you think, Jimmy, if your workers really need you, they'll say, good morning, Jimmy. He has to,
Tell them-
only Reb Chaim Kanievsky, of course.
Don't they say that he's the one that established the
נכון,
concept
נכון,
of say
but-
Hashem Machem?
Emet,
So
emet, but the question
he's
is,
pushing his establishment.
okay, the Gemara says at the end of Brachot, the Jimmy says, that Boaz is the one that established that you are permitted to greet someone using the name of Hashem. As a matter of fact, many of the poskim wonder, how come we're not doing it?
We do it by the Sefer Torah. I don't know what the Ashkenazim, when you go to the Sefer, before you say Birkat Torah, say this, it says Hashem Machem, and then you say Barcha Hashem.
The question is, after the summer, I see you, I shake your hand. So they say the word shalom,
It's God's name.
shalom is God's name. This is the Hashem Machem.
You know, there's actually a mahloket when you say Hashem Machem, if you should say Hashem's name or just say Hashem. Like, you know,
Yeah.
bring down.
Now, the reason why Boaz is the one that is approaching them, because if you learn your Chot Abelu, the Abel is not supposed to ever say hello, because say hello to you, nothing to you. ויאמר לקוצרים, השם עמכם, you cannot greet me first, I'm greeting you, and then you respond to me.
All right, when you go visit, we learn they're supposed
This
to.
is why רבי
this-
קניאבסקי כל כך
They're
יפה,
supposed to talk.
זה נקרא פשט בפסוק.
But
ויאמר,
they came after the Shivah, you're saying.
it's exactly, he's coming
That's
straight
it,
from
the
the
Shivah is
Shivah.
over, but that's the halakha you're saying still applies.
still in the 30, still avail his wife. ויאמר לקוצרים השם עמכם, ויאמרו לו יברך השם. ויאמר בועז לנערו הניצב על הקוצרים, he had a supervisor there, נערו, נערו means it's very close to him. למי הנערה הזאת? Okay, so you know the Gemara, everyone likes to them. How did you notice the woman? באמת, it's not a big
They say
question.
it was the way she
Because
bent
it was
down.
like,
No, they say it's
the
the way
way-
she presented
the
herself.
way- the way she presented herself, but the Midrash, you have to read the language of the Midrash. The Midrash says, unlike the other girls who were joking with the boys, unlike the other girls that wanted to grab no matter what they look, she is very dignified, yes?
They say the way she bowed down also. She
Right,
bent
right,
down.
Rashi,
She
this
didn't
is-
just
Like,
bend
this is
over
what
like that.
Rashi, right.
She bent her
So,
knees.
right, so one of the commentators say a very interesting point. When the Midrash is describing her behavior, why do you have to tell me, unlike the other girls, tell me that she's an immigrant when he comes to town, the first and foremost is he wants to blend. Here you are the first time, everyone is doing it, do like them. So that, again, the Megillah is revealing us
Her
the
nature.
dignity and her nature, despite the fact that all the other girls are joking with the boys, are doing this, are doing that. She is a man on her own. So there's a lot about the personality.
And the other girls are Jewish, mind you, right? I mean,
They are
you're
Jewish.
talking- they're Jewish girls. we're not talking about-
Everyone is asking me. Everyone is questioning. So they say, listen, they are poor people, they are desperate, they are this, they do what they have to do. Anyway, he answers him, ויאמר הנער הניצב על הקוצרים, נערה מואביה היא, השבה עם נועמים, she is the Moabit that is coming. But why is the Megillah? Look a second back at Pasuk Bet. ותאמר רות המואביה, לא, מה זה רות המואביה? ותאמר רות, we know already that she... Guys, do you remember why the Moabim cannot marry Jewish women?
אשר לא קדמו אתכם,
They couldn't care less about others. Here the Torah is madgish, even though she is Moaviyah, she volunteers for how much she cares for her mother-in-law. She volunteers to be the collector, yes? But Tomer Ruth Moaviyah. This is exactly
despite her
correct,
lineage,
correct,
she's that.
correct.
She's going against the
Showing that she's
nature of
showing.
her.
Here,
Of
so
that
there,
people.
this is exactly
So like a tikkun,
like no, but to
she's
show
going
you that
against her-
she is so far from the roots of the Moabim. Here, look a second.
So now why you stated again, she's a
No, so
Moabite
this
girl,
is
to
exactly
show you
what
that-
he wants Boaz to realize.
that
You
by the fact
realize,
that
even
she's
though
from
she is
Moab, she's
Moabiyah, look,
She's special.
I thought you were going to ask opposite, Rabbi. You're never supposed to remind a convert
Correct,
of anything.
correct.
So here we keep saying, "Oh, you're a Moabite. Oh,
No,
you're a
no, I know,
Moabite."
but no, but you're not supposed to tell it to him in his face.
Yeah.
But if I have to whisper, who is she? So he's telling her, look at it, even though she is Moabiyah, he's telling it
You're spinning it in the positive. I get it.
he's not making.
But you could spin it in the negative also. Oh, look at that. Who's that girl? Oh, she's that Moabite that came with
Yeah,
Naomi.
yeah,
I could
okay.
very easily spin it that way also.
Anyway, if you understand psychology, Boaz is a leader. He's talking to his workers and publicly now, he recognized, Vayomer Boaz el Ruth, listen, אל תלכי לרקוד בשדה אחר, please stay with us. וגם לא תעבורי מזה, וכל תדבקי עם נערותיי. עינייך בשדה, listen to this, הלא ציוויתי את הנערים. She's a beautiful woman, she's a convert,
Don't touch her.
she's an easy prey. הלא ציוויתי את הנערים, don't touch it. הוא אומר לה את זה public. Which means he's telling to the נערים, be careful,
But also, he knows that she's his relative now. So,
והלך
the next is coming to now.
ותיפול על פניה, do you realize the biggest chesed you can do? I mean, this is the chasedim are greater than that. She is a foreigner, and suddenly the boss publicly is praising her.
Yeah.
She's falling down, ותיפול על פניה, ותשתקו ארצה. ותאמר, מדוע מצאתי חן בעיניך? Why?
אנוכי לא חריה.
ויען בועז ויאמר לו.
It's interesting. She said that in Moabiyah.
Yeah.
No, it should have said continuing.
Yeah, good Moabiyah, yes.
She threw in another term.
But now she's saying, I'm a stranger. ויען בועז ויאמר לה, הוגד הוגד לי את אשר עשית את חמותך. I heard your commitment to my cousin, who is your mother-in-law. ותעזבי אביך ואימך, you gave up your religion. Yes? וארץ מולדתך, לך לך מארצך ומולדתך מבית אביך, he's repeating the pasuk here, yes? ותעזבי אביך ואימך בארץ מולדתך, ותלכי אל עם אשר לא ידעת מול שלשום, and you are committed to go to a nation, to a religion, ישלם השם פועלך ועם הסוגרנים השם בית. This is by the way, you see, מעם השם אלוקי ישראל השבת לחסות תחת כנפיו. Now this is the sword, the אשכנזים, וזה השכבה, זה אל מלא רחמים שוכן במרומים, אמצא מנוחה נכונה תחת כנפי השכינה.
We say that when it's a rabbi. When we have
look here, השבת לחסות תחת כנפיו. You, I gave up your family, your homeland, and you came to found, okay? Anyway, you realize she feels like $1 million. Fine. Look now.
About what you said before. So let's say, according to this, it fits perfect. He was sitting Shiv'ah, he comes, he sees her, and he says, I heard what you did. So it makes sense. So why didn't he tell her?
That means, you know,
He should have gone to Naomi. She says, tell her, come stay with me. Or something. He gave her some food and he told her to go over there.
So all the commentators say, when he realized that this dignified woman is collecting, he realized that she and his cousin made the decision, we're not asking favors. As long as he didn't expect it. Jimmy,
He's telling her to
Jimmy,
come
if he
come
would not see her in his farm, perhaps he would send her shluach manu. She's coming, so he understands that he wants to respect. However, he's giving it with a lot of generosity and a smile.
He's like, the guy has a poor cousin, he gives him a job, so he feels
Right,
dignified.
right,
He's doing
right.
his
It's not
thing.
just a handout.
Yeah.
No. See, the chokhmah here is there are many commentators. There are many. Email, I think that when you went to visit Rabbi Kanievsky, Alav Shalom 7 years ago, you bought it there and you gave it to him using it every year. This is the book of Chaim Kanievsky and it said that Moshe Megillat.
Wow. Wow.
See, you bought it in the house.
I used to always ask, what do you have in that? Because he won't
They
take money.
never, not
take
only
money.
him, it's his wife, they never ever. I was there not when you came, when you became
But I heard,
40 years ago. I told her, can I live here? She said, אנחנו לא לוקחים שום דבר. יש ספרים, אתה רוצה לקנות ספרים? תקנה ספרים. חזוני, זה real people. אנחנו לא לוקחים שום דבר.
I heard a clip, we were talking about how old was Boaz. I heard a class the other day, it says, they bring down Boaz was 400 years old already. No, Rabbi Eli said it, I was hearing it. So my question, Boaz is the nephew, and he was 400.
Right.
Tov, no, time out, Tov is the brother.
Should be 500.
How old was Tov? No, right or wrong? And now, how old was Ruth in the story? Young, 40, 30, I don't know how old she is.
Jimmy, look, the Megillah begins by Yibi Meisha for the Shofetim. If Boaz is one of the judges, it cannot be 400 because the period of 14 judges from A to C was 322. 325.
So where they get it from?
As you mature, you don't mention this to people because it sounds like, oh.
Okay, not 400, let's say it was 200.
Like Esther, they said that Esther is 70. Oh, everyone wants to see Esther as a blonde with blue eyes, you know, with like his daughter or his granddaughter.
Great family. Probably went to Madison Avenue this week.
What? Anyway, she comes home, and her mother-in-law realized that she's very successful.
Yeah.
They came barefoot.
Barefoot.
That's kind of, to walk barefoot. Try walking, try to walk the King's Highway.
That's all they had.
Near the King's
No,
Highway.
but King's
Not
Highway.
from here to
I know, but King's Highway is because of the sidewalk. If you ever walk on the sand, people in Africa, how come on the beach most people go barefoot? Not because they're wearing bikinis only, because it's more comfortable.
New Orleans, Mal, New Orleans.
No, but it's more comfortable to walk.
Ike, how did the rabbi know Mal wears a bikini? How did the rabbi know?
Come on.
Okay, anyway, Naomi understands that the fact that she found herself in the field of Boaz is a message from Hashem. Look a second now what she says. ותאמר נעמי, go to פסוק כ'. ותאמר נעמי לכלתה, ברוך הוא להשם, אשר לא עזב חסדו את החיים ואת המתים. You understand? Naomi says, I see the fact that you, פסוק כ', I see the fact that you found yourself in his field at the hand of Hashem. He is one of our relatives. ותאמר רות המואביה, גם כי אמר אליי, אם הנערים אשר לי תדבקים. Guys, if you want to see, Sammy, the greatness of Chazal, look, this is, they don't miss a bit. Look, she is speaking to her mother. ותאמר רות המואביה, גם כי אמר אליי, אם הנערים אשר לי תדבקים. Did he tell her to go with the boys? In her mind, I'm single. How many boys in? Look what she says to her. ותאמר נעמי אל רות כלתה, טוב ביתי כי תציב נערותיו. She didn't say it with the boys. She says to her, he didn't say it. You should be, which means subconsciously, in a minute it's going to change because Naomi has a plan for her. But as far as she's looking on it, here are many Jewish boys here. Anyway, ותדבק בנערות בועז, ללקט התלות קציר השעורים. So this is a couple of weeks. ותשב על חמותה. So the pasuk clearly says that she continued to be a collector until the season is over.
Until the season's over, yeah.
Now, ותאמר לה נעמי, to really understand the plan that she is doing here is, so look a second. Let's skip a second. Look a second, פסוק י"א. אתה ביתי, אל תראי, כל אשר תאמרי אעשה לך, כי יודע כל שער עמי, here by now, everyone in town knows that you are very special. Yes? ואתה,
And it makes sense now why she didn't tell her from the beginning, let's find the husband. Because she wanted everyone to see her qualities before. And that she would have gotten the bottom of the barrel. Now she moved up.
now everyone in
Right,
town
everyone in
speaks,
town,
look at this
right,
beautiful
right,
woman,
right.
look how she
Her
behaves,
cute,
everyone. All the girls are coming back home and see, you know what we saw, all the boys are coming home, and it's the same. ואתה כי אומנם כי גואל אנוכי, I'm sorry,
No, you
I'm sorry. Listen carefully what she says to him. She comes to him. Look at Pasuk 10. I mean, you have to imagine the guts that Naomi has here. She's telling her, go, get dressed nicely, beautify yourself, and offer yourself to him. Legally, it's not kosher, but yourself. Boaz is frightened. Vayomer miat, it's dark. ותאמר אנוכי רות אמתך, ופרסת כנפיך על אמתך. Take your wings over me, כי גואל אתה. What did she say?
Isn't she supposed to go to the brother first before the nephew?
But she doesn't know. B, but this is what he's telling
That's
her.
what he's asked.
He's telling her what you're asking is legal, it's good, but I have an answer. It's not good.
If you back up
I'm
to
not
the
first in
sentence
line.
here, it says in English, he is one of our redeeming kinsmen.
Right.
Kinmen.
She says, but she
Relative.
says to him,
He's one, which he's a person that
So
that-
keep
we don't know
going.
what order. It's not number one on the list. He's one of.
one is very
But in the
good.
laws of
Yes,
the laws of Yibum, one of the younger brothers
No,
allowed
this
to
is not
jump.
the real.
That's supposed to
Jimmy,
if he jumps, it's kosher.
Even the Ramban said this is not a real regular Yibum.
It's not a regular Yibum, they're
It's
unconscious.
like the spirit of Yibum, but she is very nice. Ki goel ata. Me and my mother-in-law have a piece of land. You, someone has to buy it. How do we know it? Turn the page. Look at Pasuk, look at the 1275. Look at the next chapter, Larry, Pasuk Gimel. Now, Boaz is approaching his uncle.
He's hold off.
ויאמר לגואל, חלקת השדה של אחינו לאלימלך, מכרה נעמי בשבה. She's about to sell.
Sell it.
What does it mean, אשר לאחינו אלימלך? So normally, normally, I mean, until I got the book from you, from Chaim Kanievsky, every husband has to write in the ketubah a piece of land to guarantee the ketubah. So I have a piece of land we approve. She's about to sell. He says, we inherited from our grandparents and we are dividing it equal. So the piece that Elimelech, Chaim Kanievsky, if it's a ketubah, it's not לאחינו לאלימלך, it's yours. You're a widow now, you wrote you the ketubah.
So
הוא לומד.
no, Ronnie, she's not allowed to inherit.
Sure, she knows.
If a person it goes to his brother,
His wife doesn't get it, right?
right? Unless he gives it to her while he's alive.
So he learned that this is Yerusha from Nachshon, this is Yerusha.
But isn't the Yerusha that goes to the brother, Rabbi?
It's odd, Elimelech in the sentence says, you're the redeemer, there's nobody else to redeem it. That doesn't make any sense. But
Listen a second.
Trying to put him on the
number
spot.
4, we know what he's trying to do, but it's a sentence.
For our brother.
Listen to Reb Chaim Kanievsky speaking. איך מכרה נעמי בנכסי בעלה? She has no right to sell her husband's ירושה. ואם עבור כתובתה, and if it's for the כתובה, עמי לא תבע תחילה יורשים. First, she has to go to the other relative and say, listen, I'm a widow.
Give them right of first refusal.
ואם תבעה ולא רצו לשלם לה, yes, so they have no right to, he's asking 5 questions as always, because he brings all the number 1. So he says, this is what he says. The 4 brothers, Elimelech, Salmon is the father of Boaz, Ploni Almoni is the Tov, and the father of Naomi. They are descendants of Nachshon ben Aminadab. So this is Yerusha that they got from Nachshon ben Aminadab. So Chelkat HaSadeh, the share in their inheritance that my husband got, yes, so they are.
But it still doesn't go to her if he didn't put it in her ketubah. It still doesn't go to her. It goes to his brothers because his 2 sons would have gone to his sons. His sons are dead. So if the sons are dead and there's nobody else, it goes to the brother. That's how Yerusha works.
So he says from her father. And if she's the daughter, Naomi's father is the brother of Elimelech.
Naomi's father is a brother, yeah. So
She's getting it from her husband. She's saying, I'm getting it. I am the only daughter of my father, yes?
No,
So I inherited.
She had a piece.
So
She came
she
to the
said
marriage.
she inherited from
She
her
came to the
father, not
marriage land.
Elimelech.
Correct. Both. No, but she said.
She came to the
Can't
marriage
say
land.
that.
Rabbi, let's go back. We have the daughters of Tzlofhad. When they went to Moshe and they said, our father didn't have
They
boys.
fully inherited.
Right, but that means Tzlofhad didn't have brothers.
I can't hear what the rabbi said.
Naomi is the only daughter. So she says, I am selling the piece of land that
My father
and what I inherited goes to my husband when I was alive. Yes. Anything, if a woman gets a big Yerusha,
She
yes,
entered the marriage with
automatically it goes to
her
husband.
husband.
This is why it's not his piece of land.
That's her.
Mine Yerusha, it went to my husband Elimelech, and she
When the husband passes away, does she retain that
comes
ownership?
back to her.
Come back to
Rabbi,
us.
when the husband passes away, does the wife retain that ownership that she brought to the marriage?
Yes.
Yes, the Gemara
That's what
says
he's telling you right
openly,
now.
yes.
So,
Everything she
Hers,
brings
no
into
matter what.
the marriage goes back to her.
When
After
if
she
the
divorced
husband
or-
gets
Anyway, so as we said yesterday, Boaz is tricking a little bit his uncle. He says, we have to redeem your first. He says, I would redeem. He says there is a little condition here.
Yeah,
the
the land.
He
condition
says I'm
here.
in. Torah
I'm
says
reading
I'm
the
in.
Rashi. אתה צריך לקנות והיא, רות, אינה מתרצה, she refuses to
So
sell, אלא אם כן תישאנה, unless you...
it's
Okay,
kind
now
of
comes the story
strings.
that she is...
The original
look at the
strings.
fine print.
Okay, so now, but by now,
Can she
we...
use that? Can she use that legally?
No, legally, if she's doing it, obviously it's legal, but the question is it fair to do it this way? If she was desperate, obviously, me was her advisor. Have a Chag Sameach, guys, Bezrat Hashem, Friday morning.
Good news.
See you Friday morning.
Good news.
Rabbi Prav.
Yes, oh, Yaakov.
Good
Yes.
Yontif.
Yofi.
Chag Sameach.
You are doing one day, but your one day is 5 hours. It's using the whole city.
Yeah, Baruch Hashem.
Chag Sameach. Regards.
Ben HaChoimos, Ben HaChomos.
Where you learning to not just stay up at night?
I'm gonna try. I'm in the middle of a round of radiation now, so I'll try to get there for Nates. I don't know if I'll make it all night.
The main idea is to get up for nets more than to stay an hour later.
Yeah. No Baruch Hashem. And then they all go to Shar Kutna. They go mamish. The whole kilo of hundreds of people. They arrange it. They go to Shar Kutna right opposite Kodesh Kadashim. No, right after the Nates minion, right after the Nates, they all walk to the. We walk to the Shar Kutna. You mamish see Kodesh Kadashim to see. It's a kiyum of Re'iyah to see the Ritzbat Harabai. So there you go, Baruch Hashem.
Regards to your wife and the children.
Okay, Kol Tov.
I don't know if you know that the Ben Ish Hai